Greed is a powerful, blinding force. It can twist love into resentment and turn a home into a crime scene. Today, we're talking about a story that seems ripped from a true crime novel, but is devastatingly real. It's a story about a children's author who allegedly wrote a book about grief, all while hiding a secret so dark it would eventually unravel her entire world. This is the story of Kouri Richins and the tragic death of her husband, Eric Richins. Our story unfolds in Kamas, Utah, a small, picturesque town nestled near Park City. It's the kind of place where people know their neighbors, where life seems quiet and idyllic. For Eric and Kouri Richins, this was supposed to be the backdrop for their family life, raising their 3 sons. They lived in a sprawling, newly built home, a symbol of success and the American dream. But behind the closed doors of this beautiful house, a very different story was playing out, one of secrets, betrayal, and a marriage crumbling under the weight of financial disputes. On the night of March 3, 2022, Kouri Richins made a frantic 911 call. She told the dispatcher that she had found her husband, Eric, unresponsive at the foot of their bed. She had been sleeping in one of their children's rooms, she said, because the child was having a night terror. She claimed she had made Eric a Moscow Mule cocktail earlier that evening to celebrate a business deal, then left him in their bedroom around 9 p.m. When she returned around 3 a.m., he was cold to the touch. Emergency services rushed to the scene, but it was too late. Eric Richins, a loving father and successful business owner, was pronounced dead at just 39 years old. At first glance, it was a tragedy without a clear cause. An autopsy was performed, but the initial results were inconclusive. Kouri publicly mourned her husband, portraying herself as a grieving widow left to raise 3 boys alone. But for those who knew the couple well, something didn't feel right. Whispers of marital problems and financial disagreement started to surface, painting a picture far more complex than that of a happy marriage cut short by a sudden, unexplained death. The motive, as investigators would soon uncover, was as old as time itself: money. And a lot of it. Eric Richins was a successful masonry business owner, and his net worth was substantial. Court documents reveal a marriage riddled with financial conflict. Kouri allegedly had a history of making huge financial decisions without Eric's knowledge, including taking out massive loans and draining his bank accounts. Eric had discovered these deceptions and was taking steps to protect his assets. He had even removed Kouri from his will and made his sister the beneficiary of his life insurance policy, a move that Kouri was reportedly furious about. The couple had also been arguing over a massive real estate investment, a $10 million unfinished mansion in nearby Heber City. Kouri was desperate to buy and flip the property, seeing it as a ticket to immense wealth. Eric, however, refused to go along with the deal, believing it was too risky and financially irresponsible. This disagreement became a major point of contention. To Eric, it was about securing his family's future. To Kouri, it seems, it was an obstacle standing in the way of the lavish lifestyle she craved. The desire for this mansion, and the wealth it represented, appears to have been the catalyst for what came next. As the police dug deeper, the facade of the grieving widow began to crack. The toxicology report came back, and it was a bombshell. Eric Richins had a lethal dose of illicit fentanyl in his system, 5 times the fatal amount. This was no accident. This was a poisoning. The investigation immediately shifted from an unexplained death to a homicide, and the primary suspect was the person who was with him that night: his wife, Kouri. Detectives began to piece together a chilling timeline. They discovered that Kouri had been in contact with an acquaintance who had a history of drug-related offenses. According to charging documents, she had asked this person for some of the Michael Jackson stuff, a reference to the powerful prescription painkiller propofol. When she couldn't get that, she allegedly asked for something stronger, specifically fentanyl. The police uncovered text messages showing that Kouri first obtained pills around Valentine's Day of 2022. Shortly after, Eric became violently ill after a Valentine's dinner Kouri had prepared. He told a friend he thought his wife was trying to poison him. He survived that attempt, but it seems the warning signs were tragically ignored. A few weeks later, Kouri allegedly contacted her dealer again, asking for more pills. 2 days after receiving the second batch, Eric was dead. The Moscow Mule Kouri had so thoughtfully prepared for her husband was likely the delivery method for the fatal dose of fentanyl. The evidence was mounting, but the most audacious part of the story was yet to come. Just a year after Eric's death, while she was the prime suspect in his murder, Kouri Richins did something truly unbelievable. She wrote and published a children's book titled, "Are You With Me?" The book was intended to help children cope with the loss of a parent. On the book's dedication page, it reads, "Dedicated to my amazing husband and a wonderful father." She went on local television to promote the book, sitting for an interview where she spoke about the pain of losing her husband and the importance of keeping his spirit alive for their children. She positioned herself as a pillar of strength, a mother navigating unimaginable grief while trying to help others. To the outside world, she was an inspiration. To investigators, she was a killer hiding in plain sight, using her own alleged crime as a platform for fame and profit. This brazen act of hypocrisy is what truly sets this case apart. The sheer nerve to write a book about grieving a husband you are accused of murdering is a level of deception that is difficult to comprehend. On May 8, 2023, more than a year after Eric's death, the charade came to an end. Kouri Richins was arrested and charged with aggravated murder and multiple counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. The community was stunned. The story made national headlines, a grim tale of a picture-perfect life that was anything but. As she sits in jail awaiting trial, the full extent of her alleged greed continues to come to light. Investigators found that just days after Eric's death, Kouri closed on the $10 million mansion she had been arguing with him about, using money from their joint accounts. She then threw a large party at the house to celebrate the purchase, while her husband's family was still reeling from his sudden death. It was a celebration of a victory she had allegedly secured through murder. The trial began in early 2026 and quickly became one of the most closely watched courtroom dramas in the U.S. Key moments included emotional testimony from Eric's family, technical forensic breakdowns of fentanyl toxicity, text messages revealing intent and motive. Defense argued Eric may have had prior drug exposure. The investigation had gaps, but they faced a major weakness. They called no witnesses. After weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated. It took just 3 hours. The verdict: guilty of aggravated murder, guilty of attempted murder, guilty of insurance fraud and forgery. A rapid decision often assigned the evidence was overwhelming. Kouri Richins now faces 25 years to life in prison, sentencing scheduled for May 13, 2026. What would have been Eric's birth date as a poetic and tragic detail, the day meant to celebrate life, will mark the consequences of taking one. This story is a stark and brutal reminder that greed has a devastatingly bad ending. It's a poison that corrupts the soul and destroys lives. For Kouri Richins, the pursuit of wealth allegedly led her down a path that obliterated her family, orphaned her children, and will likely see her spend the rest of her life behind bars. She sought a life of luxury built on a foundation of lies, but what she's ended up with is a legacy of tragedy and betrayal. The mansion she so desperately wanted is not a home, but a monument to her downfall. Eric Richins' family is now fighting to keep his memory alive, to ensure his sons remember him as the loving, dedicated father he was, not as a character in their mother's twisted narrative. The very book she wrote to supposedly help them grieve is now a piece of evidence against her, a macabre symbol of her ultimate betrayal. This case serves as a chilling cautionary tale. The pursuit of money over everything, over love, over family, over human life is a hollow and destructive path. There is no shortcut to happiness, and any fortune built on the suffering of others is destined to crumble into dust. Stay safe out there.